Donald Trump is a clear threat to Canada. His tariff threats are directly threatening hundreds and thousands of Canadian jobs. They also threaten to increase the cost of living at a time when people are already struggling with the cost of groceries and the cost of their bills. So it is serious. We have to take it seriously. And that's why what we've seen again and again has not worked. Going to meet with them, trying to wine and dine them is a failed approach. Donald Trump is not rational. You can't discuss a plan over a meal with him. He is a bully. And bullies understand one thing, that is strength. They also understand pain. So if he wants to pick a fight with Canada, we have to make sure it's clear that it's going to hurt Americans as well. There's going to be pain felt for not just Canadians, but also Americans. And so that's why I'm calling on my plan. We know that the United States needs our critical minerals. They're very important for the United States. So I'm calling on all political leaders to support turning off the taps on those critical minerals. Let's stop the flow of those critical minerals into the States. There's no quicker way to get Donald Trump to back away from tariffs than to shut off the tap on critical minerals, what the states need very clearly. But what is the plan of the other leaders, the other political leaders? We know the Liberals are in disarray, but what about Pierre Poilievre? His plan is literally to do nothing at a time when Canadians are desperately worried about Donald Trump and the threat to Canada. You hear that anywhere you go. If you go out and meet people, they're worried about Donald Trump, they're worried about the threat. And what is Pierre Poilievre proposing to do? Nothing. His literal plan is to do nothing. That is failure in leadership, to do nothing. Well, and we know why as well. We know he's been endorsed by Elon Musk, so he doesn't want to do anything to upset that endorsement. He's been endorsed by a billionaire because Pierre Poilievre is a billionaire bootlicker. Billionaires know that he's going to make them richer. Elon Musk knows that he's going to make him even richer. And anytime a politician decides to side with the billionaires, we know what that means for working class people. It means pain for working class. It means cuts to the services that working class people need. It means pain for the middle class. That's what Pierre Poilievre is about. That is a failure in leadership. I put my plan forward. That's what we need. We need leadership to take on Donald Trump. We need strength. And one more thing. For Donald Trump, musing about the 51st state, Canadians have no interest in that. Canadians are proud of our country. We want to fight to defend our country. We're proud of the fact that we take care of our neighbor, that we've got universal health care, and we want nothing to do with becoming a part of the United States. Donc, Pierre Poilievre, je commence avec la menace de Donald Trump. Le fait que ces menaces d'imposer des tarifs sont vraiment des menaces sérieuses. Ça va impacter les emplois au Canada, ça peut augmenter le coût de la vie. Et on sait que rencontrer Donald Trump ne va pas fonctionner. Ce n'est pas quelqu'un qui on peut parler et discuter des solutions. Il est un intimidateur. Et la seule chose qu'il comprend, c'est la force et la douleur. Donc, on doit montrer qu'ici, il veut prendre des décisions qui vont impacter le Canada, que ça va heurter aussi les États-Unis. Donc, ça, c'est pourquoi je propose pour tous les chefs des partis politiques d'appuyer une décision d'arrêter le vent des minéraux essentiels aux États-Unis. Ça, c'est une façon de mettre la pression pour arrêter les tarifs contre le Canada. Ça, c'est mon plan. Et j'ai proposé des autres plans de répondre avec les tarifs de représailles. Mais c'est quoi le plan de Pierre Poilievre? Son plan, c'est effectivement de faire rien. De faire rien à un temps où les gens sont désespérés. De faire rien quand les gens ont peur pour ce qui va arriver avec les tarifs de Donald Trump. Son plan, c'est honnêtement de faire rien. Et pourquoi? Parce que Elon Musk appuie Pierre Poilievre. Les milliardaires appuient Poilievre parce que les milliardaires savent que Pierre Poilievre va enrichir les milliardaires parce qu'il va couper de la classe moyenne, de la classe ouvrière. Ça, c'est ce que les milliardaires savent. Et c'est pourquoi ils ne proposent rien pour répondre à ces vraies menaces. Et finalement, je pense que c'est un manque de leadership de Pierre Poilievre. Et finalement, pour Donald Trump qui propose qu'on devienne le 51e État des États-Unis, on rejette cette idée. Les Canadiens sont fiers de notre pays. On est fiers du fait qu'on prend soin les uns des autres. On est fiers de notre système de santé et on rejette cette proposition de Donald Trump. Je suis prêt pour vos questions. I'm ready for your questions.
Are you suggesting that premiers and ministers should not do any kind of diplomacy with the incoming administration?
What's become clear is that meeting with Donald Trump does nothing. Ask Danielle Smith. She met with him, she tried to wine and dine him, and she came back and said, yep, there's definitely tariffs coming. So clearly that approach is not working.
But it's been
That
one
approach
one meeting, sir.
is clearly failed with Donald Trump. That Donald Trump only understands one thing, and that is force. We have to show that if he's going to pick a fight with Canada, it's going to hurt Americans as well. That's the only thing that he understands.
But this has been like one.
Should she be turning the taps off on oil exports? Where are you on turning off the taps or restricting oil exports to the United States?
When I was in law school, I learned that when you're in a fight or when you're in a legal battle, you don't put out all your tools right at once. You escalate step by step. So that is a tool that should be on the table, but not something we start with. I'm proposing we start with critical minerals, but we need to look at every option. Every response to the tariffs that could hurt Canadians in a serious way should be met with tariffs in kind, and all solutions that we can propose should be on the table, and that's absolutely one of them.
Why
En
is
même
it
temps, quel impact ça pourrait avoir sur l'industrie de l'aluminium, par exemple, au Québec, de cesser les exportations de minéraux critiques? Vous ne craignez pas des mises à pied dans ce secteur-là?
J'ai peur pour les impacts de cette bataille. Ce n'est pas quelque chose que je veux voir, mais la réalité, c'est Donald Trump ne comprend rien que la force. Donc, on doit être prêt de se battre pour défendre les emplois au Canada. Donc, on doit être prêt avec des tarifs de représailles. Et j'ai proposé, on commence avec les minéraux essentiels pour montrer la force, pour montrer qu'on est prêt de se battre et pour montrer que si les États-Unis, si Donald Trump prend des actions contre le Canada, ça va heurter aussi les États-Unis.
Monsieur Singh, vous dites que ça ne donne rien de rencontrer Donald Trump, mais est-ce que vous ne seriez pas prêt, vous, à aller de l'autre côté de la frontière, aller à Washington, rencontrer des gens, une initiative peut-être avec les autres partis? Vous ne seriez pas ouvert à ça?
On doit être ouvert à discuter avec les autres gens. On planifie des rencontres avec les autres gens aux États-Unis, parler avec les syndicats, parler avec les autres leaders aux États-Unis. Mais ce qui est clair dans le cas de Donald Trump, ça ne va pas fonctionner. C'est clair, on a déjà beaucoup de preuves qui montrent que c'est clair et on ne peut pas discuter des choses avec Donald Trump. La seule chose qu'il comprend, c'est la force. On doit être prêt de montrer la force au Canada.
Why
The
not
government is
Canada?
talking with premiers about retaliatory tariffs on Wednesday. Would you rather see targeted tariffs or a more broad-based action like the Americans are putting on Canada?
I think we need to be very strategic about our response. So we need to look at a step-by-step response that meets the tariffs in kind and that escalates the pressure that we're putting on the United States. And so I propose starting with one thing like critical minerals, and then we can expand on that and build on that. But we need to look at how we have a response plan that goes step by step, that increases the pressure on the United States to make it clear to Donald Trump, if he picks a fight with Canada, it's going to hurt the United States as well. And it's why, again, I want to point out that while Donald Trump is threatening Canadians, Pierre Poilievre's plan is to do nothing, to sit back and literally do nothing, because he's been endorsed by Elon Musk. He doesn't want to upset that endorsement, so he's got no interest in defending Canadian
Have
jobs.
you picked up the phone to call anyone in the States?
We have set up a number of meetings that are going to be happening soon. I'll let you know about them when they happen.
Who are you meeting with? Is it governors, business leaders, union? Because Mr. Poilievre has said that ministers here and others should be picking up the phone and making this case to their American counterparts. Who are you making this case to?
We'll let you know when we have those
Can I
meetings
ask
set
you
up.
about the election we're about to
For sure, and I just want to finish up though, and I'll answer that question, then we'll wrap it up. But I want to be clear, Pierre Poilievre does not have, his plan is literally to do nothing. He's been asked about it again and again, and his plan is, no, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to do anything until an election. At a time when Canadians are desperately worried about the impact on their jobs, their cost of living, he is saying he's going to do nothing. Let's be clear, he is not interested in defending Canadian jobs because he doesn't want to upset Elon Musk, who's endorsed him. He's a bootlicker for billionaires. That's who Pierre Poilievre is.
Can I just ask you about the ballot question? Last week, Poilievre said he's wants to make it the carbon tax. I wonder, as you appeal to voters in French Canada and in English Canada, is it the same ballot question? What will New Democrats be really zeroing in on in the election we're going to have this spring?
Well, I think it's clear that one of the things that's evolving in the ballot question is the threat of Donald Trump. You hear that everywhere you go. People are really worried about what this means for their jobs, what this means for cost of living, what those tariffs could mean for grocery prices, for everyday bills. That's becoming more and more a serious question. And in general, the cost of living question is one that's top of mind for Canadians. They're worried about how much everything costs. Salaries have not kept up. They're worried about grocery prices. They're worried about homes and not being able to afford a home. And what more and more, Pierre Poilievre seems out of touch, not responding to the real issues of the day, the threat of Donald Trump, the threat of those tariffs on Canadians and on their lives. And that's why we're going to continue to fight for Canadians, say, whenever that election happens, we're going to be ready for it. But in the meantime, we're not going to give up. We're going to fight to protect Canadian jobs. We're going to fight to protect our country. That's something that Pierre Poilievre has shown clearly a failure in leadership. Thanks so much.
What is your Obamacare? What is your Obamacare?
I've never seen him limit questions.
Right, go to that short.
Yeah.
It's actually
Don't they get what?